All right, chapter 3 is called Silver Sides. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. Silver Sides was not just another white cat. Oh, what's a cat? Well, there you go. Okay. She was a very angry cat. Ooh, sounds like the bad guy. According to her, the world had become a terrible place, and the cause of it was all because of mice. A large cat, Silver Sides, was 7 years old. In the very prime of her life, her eyes were yellow, her fur white as snow. Around her neck was a pink polyvinyl collar studded with sparkling diamond-like sequins. Dangling from this collar was her city license, Amperville 30, a tag she wore with pride. Low numbers were prized among Amperville's many cats. Silversides lived in the home into which she had been carried as an 8-week-old kitten. Most recently, her private place was a rug behind a growling basement furnace. The house humans came by this warm, quiet spot only rarely, which meant that these days Silversides was alone most of the time. This did not please her. Though Silversides had raised 12 kittens during her mothering years, she had done it by herself. It had not been easy tending her litters. It required continual struggle to teach the kittens to grow into decent, hard-working, right-thinking cats. As far as she was concerned, she had succeeded. Now they were grown and gone, having shows and homes of their own. There were even grandkittens, though Silverside saw these youngsters only occasionally on midnight strolls while she was patrolling her territory or hunting in the park. She fretted about them all the time. Life in the city of Amperville was not what it once had been. When Silversides had been young, Amperville had been prosperous, clean, and wholesome. Mice were relatively few. Now, she had no idea why. The humans who bore the prime responsibility of keeping things up no longer really cared that much about Amperville. The community was run down. The worst result was that the city had become infested with mice. Moreover, these mice were very different from those of previous generations. In the good old days, according to Silversides, house mice knew their place in numbers. Timid and respectful, these mice lived with gratitude on crumbs. They entered houses furtively, and then only through back doors or cracks in foundations. Only rarely did these mice make themselves noticeable. To do otherwise would have to put their lives at risk, as both cats and mice understood. When the occasional rebellious house mouse got uppity, Amperville cats knew exactly what to do with him. The upstart mouse would be caught and dealt with. No fuss, no muss, nothing needed to be said. But nowadays, Amperville mice had not just increased in number, but they had become brazen. They acted as if they actually had a right to be in Amperville, going so far as to claim part of a town, a section by the railroad that humans had abandoned as their town. Mouse Town, they called it. They had their own mayor, schools, clubs. Though Silversides tried at first to ignore these new mice, every one of them was a personal insult, an unending irritation, a reminder that things were not as they should be. Then two things of great importance happened. The girl who lived in Silverside's house brought home a white-furred, pink-eyed mouse and kept it in her room. She called the mouse Blinker. The mouse's very name, sickeningly cute, irritated Silversides enormously. Here's our new character. She doesn't look too happy. The girl, I already read that. Enormously, okay. That she and this mouse were the same color only served to inflame the cat even more. There had been a time when Silversides had slept on this girl's pillow. If she wasn't sleeping on the pillow, she was on the rug at the foot of the girl's bed. Now the girl lavished all of her affection on the mouse. She fondled him, kissed him, carried him around, gave Blinker the complete freedom of her room. Worst of all, the girl told Silversides that she was no longer welcome there. The rug had been removed to the basement. Insulted and humiliated, Silversides hid behind the furnace for days on end. There she brooded and sulked, deeply depressed, preferring the darkness of the cellar and the smelly litter box to any kind of social life, indoors or out. Only now and again did Silversides venture forth. When she did, it was to visit her grown-up kittens and grandkittens. It was just such a visit that brought about a second crisis, one that changed the course of Silversides' life. Jasper was a particularly favorite grand kitten of Silversides. He was an affectionate coal-black creature with blue eyes and a splash of white upon his chest. One day, Silversides came to visit Jasper, only to discover him playing on the front lawn with a mouse. Silverside's first reaction was astonishment. The next moment, she was filled with rage. Leaping forward, she gave the mouse a few hard smacks, which sent him reeling away. Then she cuffed her grand kitten smartly across the nose. "How dare you!" she howled. Jasper, frightened as well as upset by Silverside's actions, hardly knew what to say. "That was my best friend," she mewed piteously. "Friend?" Silverside screeched. "You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Aren't there any decent cats in this neighborhood for you to play with? Don't you know that the lowliest cat is vastly superior to the highest of mice? Where's your mother? I intend to give her a piece of my paw." A cowering Jasper said, My mother went out." "Where?" "I don't know. Business." "Business?" Silverside shrieked. "A mother's business is to stay home and make sure her children have proper friends. I cannot believe how far this town has fallen." With that, she stalked away, tail erect, but not before she had given her grand kitten a spank on his bottom. This incident changed Silverside's life. Her anger was so great, she made up her mind to do something about the Amberville mouse problem. That night, she began to prowl the streets of the city in search of mice. It was not the act of a hungry cat seeking food. No, no, no. It was vengeance. Sure enough, Silversides came upon 2 mice. The first was sent running for his life. The second did not run fast enough and met a grisly end. Silversides deposited the corpse outside the girl's door. It was meant to be a declaration of war. Silversides quickly realized she could not solve the city's mouse problem all on her own. She created an organization. The organization was dedicated to keeping cats on top, people in the middle, mice on the bottom. Silversides called her group Felines Enraged About Rodents, or FEAR, F-E-A-R. She even created a slogan for FEAR, Felines First. Though Silversides invited other cats to join FEAR, most could not be bothered. They would shrug or say things like, "I don't need to join a club to catch mice. I do just fine on my own." Or, "I'd like to have more mice around. That's a lot more than to chase anyway." And even, "Rude, food, they taste the same." In the end, from the entire cat population of Amberville, Silversides was able to recruit only one other cat for her organization. The two formed the membership of Felines Enraged About Rodents. Silversides was president. Her vice president was a cat by the name of Graybar. Graybar was a street cat. Scruffy gray in color, he was lean and covered with scars to prove his meanness. He had a jagged ear and a limp, the result of a battle of which he was particularly proud. It had been 3 against 1, and he had been the winner. He bore his injuries as proof of his toughness. "Do you want to know what I think of mice?" Graybar asked Silversides when she first talked to him about joining FEAR. "Yes. The only good mouse is a dead mouse." "Oh, you're my kind of cat," Silversides said. Silversides had learned that country mice often came to town by train. These trains stopped by near Mousetown, and mice got off. One of the first things Silversides and Graybar did was organize a patrol around the old railway depot. Mice new to town, timid and often scared, were easy prey for the organization. When Silversides or Graybar caught such a mouse, they terrified it, warned it never to return, then threw it back onto the train. They were the lucky ones. And here are our 2 villains. Ugh. No good. That's also the end of chapter 3.